First round, I got my jaw broken. Second round, I knocked the guy out. So then I had my second fight. It was against the guy that we all know, Andrew Tate. He was a British kickboxing champion at the time, and I'd had one fight and I had a broken jaw.
What was in your head?
Freedom.
Okay.
So you're a married guy speaking to single guys about how to pick up women.
Yeah. But it's like a little bit disrespectful.
Bro, you know I'm married, right? And I got 2 kids.
It's not worth it, man.
What's the point of dating? It's to get married, right?
So how did you meet your wife?
Online.
Ooh.
Douche.
How did you know, like, I'm ready to commit to this girl for the rest of my life?
Oh, she's hot. I'm going to date her. Because I believe that I can influence the universe to do whatever I want to do.
All right, Luke Barnatt. Good to have you on the show, brother.
Good to be a good. We always shake hands at the beginning, very official. I like it.
That's yeah. Sometimes it depends on. Some people are going for the dab, some people go for the handshake, but I like it. It makes it a little more.
I'm a business guy. So.
Yeah. Nice, good business handshake. And it's funny because Luke, you were trying to get me to go to your podcast studio you set up in Marbella, and I actually felt kind of like guilty saying no because I know you just set it up, but I'm a bit of like a camera nerd, I guess. So like once I have all the gear, I figure I kind of like to do it here. It also is a bit of a different vibe because I feel like most podcasts now, they're like the same, like dark room, headphones on. And I love doing those, but this gives it like a little bit different. Yeah,
when it's your feeling, your brand, and if you've got the gear, I mean, why not? I mean, the studios, like you said, it's more of a professional environment, if you want to call it that. But I think out here with the view and the sunshine, and we're in Spain, you might as well show off the balcony and where you live and all that sort of stuff. So it's great. It's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for offering. And if anyone's in Marbella, go to Luke Marbella Pod Studio. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Don't come to my balcony. We're not renting this time. So I didn't realize you've been in Marbella for 9 years.
Yeah, I've been out here. 8-9 years. Something. I think approaching 9 in September. Yeah. I used to I'm from the UK, obviously, and then when I was fighting in the UFC, I traveled out to California, and I lived there for about 3-4 years in San Diego. I don't know if you've been there.
I've been, yeah.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful.
And I actually lived on a boat for like two of the years.
In San Diego.
In San Diego, on a yacht, like living the life, driving a G-Wagon, being the man. Life was good.
This is when you were still competing UFC?
Yeah, so I was competing, and I was all through a sponsor. I had a sponsor called Bad Boy, and the owner of that company gave me his yacht, gave me his car, gave me, so it was like a nice life. It was kind of similar. You wake up in the morning, you have coffee, you got this beautiful view, but mine was like the water. We were like the last yacht, like moored in on the dock. So I'd come out and you just see pure water every morning. It got very, very addictive to be there and calm. So I did that for a couple of years. Then when I had to move back to the UK, I was like, fuck this place. What am I doing here? And
you don't live in London.
No.
I'm a very American perspective on the UK. I'm like, there's London, and then there's a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, so, okay. You've got London, and then if you look at the north, you've got Manchester and Liverpool. So my wife is from Liverpool, or from the outskirts of Liverpool, which is called the Wirral. Getting complicated.
The world?
The Wirral.
Oh, the Wirral. Okay.
So she lives in the Wirral,
right.
And I was from London originally, but lived in Essex. I trained in a place called Cambridge. Getting very geographical.
Yes.
So you got London, Cambridge, Liverpool. And when I was in Cambridge, then I moved to America. And when I came back, I ended up living with my wife's family in Liverpool, which was tough.
Okay.
Right. At the time,
but she was living with you on the yacht as well at the time.
Yeah. She had all the good stuff, then I had to go back with her family. So it was a bit different.
Yeah.
But we weren't married yet, and we moved back after my UFC stint. And when I got back, we ended up staying there because we weren't quite sure what we were going to do. And in that period, my mum moved out here. So we then ended up getting married in Liverpool. And after the wedding, we came to visit my mum, like on holiday, basically.
So you've been married almost 10 years.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years next year. So my anniversary is next month. This month, we're in August now. So it's the 2026. So we're going to Ibiza to celebrate.
The 10 year,
And it'll be the first weekend away, just me and her, since we've had kids, because we've got 2 kids. So it's an anniversary and like a celebration of freedom. So looking forward to it. So I've been out here a fair amount of time because of that.
Yeah. And was there anywhere else you consider living now?
I mean, I traveled extensively, especially across Europe and America. And I think I've been everywhere that you'd think that would be good to live. And this Marbella beats everywhere, in my opinion. It's like, has everything. Because you have the mountains, you have the beach. In the winter, you can go skiing in Sierra Nevada. You've got like community, international. Like, that's the thing. I think the south of Italy is the most beautiful. and the food is good, and the coffee is good, and the service is good, believe it or not, in certain places. Like, the beaches are amazing, but they're Italian. And they don't like English people being there. They don't like Americans being there. They like Italians being there. They're very proud and very, which I agree with. But here in Marbella is like it's own little community. It's not even Spain.
It's an international community, yeah.
Yeah, but I say like Marbella is like a different country. It's like the Vatican. If you go to the Vatican, it's a different country within Rome. You know, it's like this is like the Vatican. We have our own little society. During COVID, it was like you have to wear a mask. You have to wear your mask. You have to wear your mask. You're in Marbella. It was just different. It's like run differently. I don't know how to explain it.
No, the amount of there's a lot of Swedish people in general, but the amount of Swedish people or British people I've met that moved here during the pandemic, it's almost everyone I've been here for 2 years. I'm like, oh, so you came during the pandemic? Yeah, I came during the pandemic. Yeah.
No, it's huge Swedish. There's Czech. There's Russian.
Ukrainian.
Ukraine. Everything's here. You know, and it's and that makes it
not too many Americans yet.
No, not really, because it's far, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you've got plenty of places, but for me, it makes it kind of like recession-proof in a way, because anyone that comes here has kind of got money, or they're doing okay for themselves in a certain way, and the mentality is very different. It's not like that bubble mentality where, I mean, we are a bubble, but I mean, it's not like like I was making jokes about COVID, but all of this stuff, people don't even think about it. We're like the winners, you know what I mean? So we come here and we live by our own rules. We're not like the rule followers, if you want to call it that. We kind of like, I just feel like it's a bit like the Wild Wild West, a little bit here, but I like that because we have like freedom. People come here to be free and enjoy life, whereas they're not stuck here. Like if you live in London or in the States, some people can't get out and they're working their 9 to 5 and they're grey. The people are grey, and no one in Marbella is grey. You meet people in Marbella. There might be people that come out here with a dream and want to do something and they failed, but at least they tried something. They're like broke away from the 9 to 5 lifestyle. Yeah,
I like the vibe here in general is good. People don't seem too like, you're not finding people arguing about like politics or like woke stuff. It's like, and maybe I think it's a combination, like you said, of the money, but also like I'm not just gonna like stay where I grew up, and like we came to Marbella, and when you have the weather like this, you don't really feel like arguing about too much, to be honest. It's funny because I was in Italy, South Italy, like Positano, Amalfi last week. Most beautiful place I've ever been. But yeah, I didn't feel that welcomed there. It's like maybe a few people were rude, and then also it's a bit like disconnected in terms of like the internet speeds aren't good. If you're trying to go from point A to point B, it's not. Like I feel like Spain has the type of modern infrastructure you get in like America or the UK, whereas in Italy, I've heard it like in Milan, in the north of Italy, it's fully developed, but South Italy seems like it's left in the past a bit, which is kind of the beauty of it, I guess.
A little bit, and I mean, Andalusia, where we live now in general, is the same, but outside of Marbella. But Spain's also a socialist country, so they invest heavily in roads and in like the sports centers and schools and all that sort of stuff. But for me as a man with kids, this is what I always say, like you have Marbella, the Marbella lifestyle, which if you're on my Instagram, you'll see that I live a little bit and I'm traveling all over the world. But then I also...
Seen you play a Padre going crazy a few times.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good spot, Sunday nights. Anyway, and then, but then I live in La Cala de Mijas, which is 20 minutes down the road, and I can have a coffee on the beach for €1 and chill and just watch the ocean. I can walk my kids to nursery, like along the beach. It's like the dream as like a kid from the UK living in London. We used to walk like 40 minutes to school every day and back, and it would be raining and horrible. And now it's like, wake up, and if I want to walk my kids to school, I don't do that very often, to be honest. My wife does it most of the time.
But it's a pleasant walk.
If I wanted to, I could walk my kids to school along the beach. Yeah. And you know, the vibe, if you want to call it, the environment I'm in is like chill, relaxed, Europe for a coffee, lay on the beach, chill. And then if I want to go mad, I can go to Marbella. If I want to ski, I can go to Sierra Nevada. If I want to go to the mountains, you can go. There's like loads of mountain ranges, and I don't know. I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head.
But Istan, the some, and then
you've got Istan, but then up. I can't remember the name of the place now. Alora. I think it's Alora. There's a man-made lake with loads of like treks.
I haven't
been
there.
And
there's
Camino del Rey, which is like a walk you can do. I got there in the end. And there's loads of beautiful nature here. There's loads of treks. There's loads of like you can do when they do hikes through rivers. There's loads of crap. Loads of stuff you can do. And then you can be a degenerate as well and go out in Marbella and have that lifestyle. So you can go from going to the 5-star and the party and the Playa Padre and spending thousands on bottles and doing that crap to then living like a normal, chill,
wholesome
life. With my family. And so I think it has everything. That's what I'm saying. Whereas in the south of Italy, in Positano or wherever you're going to go, I think it just has that wholesome side, you know.
But not the other side.
It doesn't have that luxury. It does have a bit of luxury, but it doesn't have that Marbella douche life that I like.
Yeah. No, but I find the people here, like, they enjoy life without being degenerate. I'm sure there's plenty of degenerate people here as well. Like we went to here's one. No, like last week we went to Now Pool Club, and it was like we got a meal there, but then it was a bit like too crazy. I didn't even want to like touch the pool water. There's like a million trash people in the pool, and my point is though I feel like people who've come here, they're hardworking people who know how to enjoy life. Versus like I just came in the summer, maybe you get a lot of people who just come here just to get trashed and stuff. But like the people who live here, they have money. A lot of them are entrepreneurs actually, but they're like choosing to like, I'm going to go to a place where on a day-to-day basis, I can work hard, but still enjoy life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you become what you're surrounded by, right? And here if you're a super hardworking person, which I am, super driven, super on it, the Spanish are not. The Spanish people are the laziest people in the world. It's like a stereotype, but stereotypes are real, right? So they are lazy. Service is terrible. So you kind of like, if you're a hardworking, driven individual, they kind of like take the edge off a little bit of you. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I love you, because they care all about the good side of life. You know. So now I work like a madman, but also care about the good side of life because I've been in Spain so long, and I'm not stressed if something doesn't go my way. Just mañana, have a coffee. You know what I mean?
It balances you out.
Yeah.
This is the reason my wife and I chose to live here. So I'm half Spanish, so I come to Spain all the time, and my wife's always been like, I'd really love to live in Europe and Spain. I was like with the business and everything we're doing, it's not going to make sense. Okay, it can't work, right? My family's from Sevilla, which is in Andalusia, but I guess the capital of Andalusia, more or less. And then we came to Marbella, and I was like, well, maybe we could live in Marbella. And it's actually the main reason we came was we thought we live such like we're both very like go, anxious type of people. And then when we came here, I think, not only had one of my most productive years because maybe I'm not working as many hours, but like I'm working from a more like calm, methodical place rather than when I was in the States. I felt just a little crazy anxiety working where you just have to feel like you're getting things done. Yeah. And I feel like here it's a good balance.
Man, you speak Spanish?
I do. You? Have you picked any up?
No.
Poquito?
No, poquito. Yo puedo hablar español, pero no.
No podemos hacer este podcast en español.
No, yo puedo si quiere, pero es la gramática que es mi problema. The grammar for me, like I never studied. I just learned off of people. So I own a gym out here. Was one of the things I started, an MMA gym, and I had to teach.
You still own that?
Yeah, I still own it, but I'm never there because I'm so busy. But I own the gym. For 5 years, I was in the gym every single day, coaching, training, fighting, and I was teaching 10 to 20-year-old Spanish kids how to fight.
It's in Mijas, or?
This is in Torremolinos, which is even further up the coast.
That's on the way to the airport, right?
Yeah. So, and it's called Lilius Barnatt, and my partner there is Santeri Lilius. He's like a super high level, one of the best black belts in Europe. So he does the jiu-jitsu side of things, and I was doing the MMA side of things. So I was teaching little Spanish kids how to fight, but they don't speak English. That's what I mean. You go 30 minutes down the road or 45 minutes down the road to my gym. It's like a very poor place where the Spanish people are Spanish. They don't even know English. Yeah. So I had to learn Spanish, but I never studied it because when it comes to books or not books, but what's the phrase? Like
academics?
No. Academics. Yeah. Academia, I'm not good.
Yeah.
So you have those apps where you try and learn a language and you try. I just speak to people. So
I can tell how you just spoke that you're conversational. There's some people be like, oh, I speak some Spanish, and then you have a little bit of an accent, even like a Spanish accent when you speak it. It's not like terrible.
No. I make jokes, but my Spanish isn't bad. It's not good. Yeah. I would never say, I speak good Spanish, but I could. If you drop me in the middle of a place and they only speak Spanish, I will survive. By. I will thrive. Not I can get by. I would thrive.
Yeah. But you can make friends. Yeah.
Yeah, but people would be like, oh, this guy's a Giri. Like they would know I'm not Spanish. But yeah. So I picked it up. I think it's just my social intelligence or whatever you want to. I can kind of. If you're and now I understand every single word of Spanish. If you're talking to somebody, if I understand what the conversation was about, the
context.
The context. Same, but I feel like in Russian, I don't know a word of Russian.
Yeah,
I understand I have social skills where if I know what the conversation's kind of about, I can kind of tell what they're doing from their facial and all that sort of stuff. And I think I used to be a doorman forever ago when I was a kid, and I think studying people and looking at how they talk and how they move and is something that I used to do because I was looking for trouble, and I just feel like I can get the flow of conversations. So I think that helped me pick up the language without even really studying or trying to, and then you just learn individual words, and you know how it goes. You put it together.
Yeah.
I'm glad you speak Spanish, because that's a big advantage here, because a lot of guys, like everyone, I'd say 80-90% move here, don't learn a lick of Spanish.
Yeah.
They just and I think it's not rude is the wrong word, but it's kind of like,
No, like Americans get really mad when like there's like
I think no Americans come here who could speak Spanish.
No, I'm gonna agree with you exactly. I'm gonna say it's a bit like hypocritical, because like Americans are very upset when there's people who've been living in the States for 5 or 10 years and they don't speak English, right? You go to, I don't know, like an Asian supermarket, or you go to a Mexican restaurant and like they don't speak English, and be like, you've been living here for 10 years, you don't speak any English, bro. But then you come to Marbella and I see the very opposite kind of happening, where they're usually not Americans, maybe they're British people or Swedish people, and they haven't learned it at all. And not that it's completely disrespectful, but it's like a little bit disrespectful because you've been living in the country for so long.
So you can go, like we're saying, it's like a superpower here. If you're a foreigner that speaks Spanish, you're like, they're like, oh, they get so surprised, because normally people don't speak a word.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you speak good Spanish? I'm like, no, I don't speak good, but yeah, I can speak. So it really helps.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good part.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Anyway, you're the first married man I've had on the podcast. Let's cheers to that. Here, we're gonna do a little Scotch whiskey if you're down for it.
Okay. First married guy. That's what I thought.
I'll let you pour, because I don't know. I'd rather the guest decide.
That was a mistake.
I had a feeling that you were not the guest to let pour, but hey, we got some time. Oh, that's not bad, but we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
But I was, because I said to you off cam before we started, like, you know, obviously I know the podcast and I know your content, all that sort of stuff, but I haven't watched too much of it. And then I watched a couple of things on the way here, and it was all about dating and how to pick up girls and PUA. And I was like, bro, you know I'm married, right? And I got 2 kids.
Cheers. Well, I kind of like that, because you're a little bit outside of the world of influencers and social media. It's actually the first time I've drank in this one. It's all right. Valentine's, it's all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's
I'm a Macallan guy, but it's okay.
Yeah. I ran out of my last bottle of.
I should have brought something. I didn't bring anything, so I'm a terrible guy. When you come to someone's house, you should always bring something.
Oh. Well, you obviously
next time.
You obviously raised well. Yeah.
Well, obviously not.
You raised half well. Yeah. Yes, no, that's why I'm kind of curious, because most people I feel like who I've spoken to, and I probably am guilty of the same thing, when you're so used to speaking into a camera, a lot of times I feel like things get a little less organic, because maybe you have like some like thing in your head that you're not even realizing it. It's like when like rappers freestyle and you're like, did they really freestyle that? Like that was a little bit too good. He definitely had like a few of those pieces already put together. So I think this may even be a bit more like organic of a conversation.
Good. You're married as well, right? So
yeah.
Newly married.
1 year. Well, almost 1 year. October.
Yeah. Okay. So you know the anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I need to be ready for that.
It's a big deal, bro.
Yeah. I had forgotten because until we were married, we had proposed, we were engaged for like 5 years. So the pandemic came and things like that. But and I always forgot like the exact day that happened. So I think I learned my lesson there.
And then you got married. Where did you get married? In the States?
No, in Sevilla. In
Sevilla. Okay,
yeah,
so with your Spanish family, or you have family there? Or
yeah,
not?
yeah. So most of them are in Sevilla. There's some in Malaga here, or in Marbella actually. But yeah, so some Americans came over. A lot of Julia's family came over. Some of my friends came over. But it was like half Spanish people, half Americans. It was kind of cool.
This is just so I understand. Again, like I'm like new in the space and all that sort of stuff. So you're a married guy speaking to single guys about how to pick up women.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. No, well, some people, it's funny because some people will be like, oh, this guy, like, yeah, exactly. Like, he can't give advice on this. But I'm like, at the end of the day, if I'm getting advice from someone, I want to get advice from someone who's been through what I've been through. And I'm very open that I was, like, very embarrassingly bad with women for a lot of time. And then I kind of, like, figured out how to put the pieces together to like, maybe at first fake confidence, but then develop that into real confidence behind the scenes as well. So that's usually my response to that. It's like, would you rather just like have advice from like the best looking single guy who's never had like problem with anything? Because how is he gonna be able to teach you?
Well, I think what's the point of dating? It's to get married, right? Or to meet someone that you love and that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. That's the actual end goal, not just to get laid. For some people, it's
just to get laid.
Yeah, but that's if you're 20.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like again,
how old are you now?
I'm 35.
Okay.
You?
33.
Like it's the same.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like, I mean, I got married younger. I was 26, 25 when I got married, but it's different life. But I'm saying like, that's my big thing about it. So I was only teasing you and joking about the marriage thing. It's like you have the end result that a lot of guys want.
Yes, and I think most guys want that.
Really do.
Yes.
Really do. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't date a lot of women or sleep with a lot of women. Like, I'm not saying that. I think you should, because then you actually find out what you want in life. Like, I think that's the hardest thing for guys, is knowing what you want.
Yeah.
So, and I also think we talk about this quite a bit, but most guys, they don't know what woman they want, and they don't even think about what women they want. They just think about the women that would date them. Like, oh, she showed interest in me. It's like, but if she's not the woman that you want, why do you care that she likes you? Like, you know what I mean? It's like they, rather than putting themselves on a pedestal and being like, I deserve X, Y, and Z, they put them on the women on a pedestal and goes, oh, she's hot, I'm going to date her. You know what I mean? That's how I used to think. I was saying when I was a kid. So then you're like, okay, but then you're just with some girl because she showed interest in you, and you don't even know if you like her or not. And so it's like,
I think most guys are motivated more by like looking cool to their friends than actually like the dating process. For most of my life, that's how it was for me. It was like I was trying to prove to my friends, hey, I can get girls too.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like, for me, my life was so different.
Yeah.
Because I never, so I explain a little bit about myself. So I fought in the UFC for a few years.
2013 you started, right?
I don't know. I'm not good with dates and times. What, fighting I started, or?
No, I think UFC. Because you did the Ultimate Fighter 2013. Because I was doing a little research before. I think you did Ultimate Fighter 2013. And then after that, you had a UFC debut the same year, I believe, based on what I saw.
That sounds about right. So it would have actually been 2012 that we videoed it, because we videoed it in November and December. Because I remember that it was during Thanksgiving. So November or October? When's Thanksgiving?
November.
November, yeah. So it was Thanksgiving on the show. So it would have been 2012. I was on the show.
Was it filmed in California also?
No, it was filmed in Vegas. So I was going to say, so I was 18 when I got into fighting, and I was working in marketing and advertising in London. I was doing quite well for like a young guy. I mean, I'm pretty, do whatever. And then I found fighting, fell in love with it. But to make it a short story, I quit my job. I moved into my gym and slept on the floor for like 2 years and just trained every day, like 6-7 hours a day with my team, Tsunami, John McGuire, Jack, all the guys. And we would train like madmen. From that and sleeping on the floor, I ended up having a bed behind reception in the gym, and I was like I looked after the gym when it was closed or whatever. But I lived on £50 a week. I would eat chicken and rice every day. I was like proper a loser, if you want to call it that, but driven in my goal, what I wanted to do. But
what was in your head? Were you just like, I'm gonna compete professionally? Or?
All I'm gonna do is fight in UFC. That like by this point, this was like I'd had maybe 6 amateur fights or 5 amateur fights at this point, and I was like, I'm going all in, and I fell in love with it. And I had won my first amateur fight. The first round I got my jaw broken. Second round I knocked the guy out, and I told this story a few times, but in between the first and second round, I went back to my corner and I said, I think I broke my jaw. And he said, open your mouth, my coach. I open up. He goes, no, you just cracked a couple of teeth. Everything Fine. Go out and win.
He knew it was broken?
Yeah, I went out. I knocked the guy out. I come back and he goes, right, guys, we've got to go to the hospital because your jaw's broken. I was like, you prick. But then I was out of condition for about 3 to 6 months. And then I had my second fight, which was against the guy that we all know, Andrew Tate, and I lost.
This was still an amateur bout, or no?
Amateur MMA. So it's like.
So this is when you met Tate.
Yeah,
this is back like 2010 or
before that. Okay. I think 15 years ago. So whatever. I can't remember.
This was straight MMA or
straight MMA, amateur MMA fight. He was a British kickboxing champion at the time, and I'd had one fight and I had a broken jaw, and my hands were like this.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get hold of the footage. Ultimate Warrior Challenge. I want to watch the fight because it's so funny, and I want to watch it. I don't want it to be on the fucking internet, but I want to watch it because I'm sure we were terrible. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I fought and lost, and then from there losing really motivated me to go a bit more all in. I won 4 fights in a row from there, and I decided this is what I want to do. Quit my job, moved into the gym, slept on the floor. Dream of fighting in the UFC. I was like, I'm going to fight in the UFC by the time I'm 25. That's what I used to say to myself every day. Like, by the time I'm 25, I'm going to fight in the UFC. And I was an amateur. Didn't know nothing. Quit everything. Completely dedicated my life to it. But I'm saying, from a dating perspective, at this time, I would have been 20, maybe 19, 20, which is like prime, go out and get chicks kind of that years. I was working as a doorman. Which can help, you know what I mean? The reason I worked as a doorman,
like a nightclub or
like a bar.
Okay.
The reason I worked as a doorman and not as a barman is because I thought I get paid more money and I'm probably going to get more chicks being a doorman, right? Yeah. So that's why I did it. But I did that for a certain amount of time, and the rest of the time I was in the gym. But imagine meeting a girl, and going, oh, you want to come back to my place? Yeah, where's your place? Oh, it's the floor of that MMA gym. Like, it wouldn't go down very well. So it was, and I wasn't drinking. I was fully focused, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So I was not like a big dater back then. And then from that, like you said, in 2012 or 2013, I went to The Ultimate Fighter, which basically is, for people that don't know, it's like a US TV show, like a reality TV show where there's fight every week. It's an 8-week long recording time. During those 8 weeks, you all live in a house with the guys that you're going to fight against. There's 14 guys all living in this fucking huge mansion in Vegas. And I have come from sleeping on the floor in a gym to living in a mansion in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And I never forget. The production team or whatever, they come and they give you a piece of paper and it has your name on it. And they say, write down what you want to eat on this piece of paper, and the next day it will be in the fridge. Anything you want.
Yeah.
And I'd gone from £50 a week, chicken and rice every day.
To anything.
To anything you want. And I'm like...
What was the first thing you wrote down?
Chicken and rice. Because I didn't know what to fucking write. Honestly, I just put chicken, rotisserie chicken and rice because I was like, I'll stay on that. And then, like, as the weeks progressed, I would look at the other contenders and be like, sushi, but maybe that's okay. And I would just steal all those things. One guy had...
What's the strangest thing someone was eating?
Some guy was having like liver, like raw liver, which now is not strange.
But that's the Liver King,
yeah, because of the Liver King is okay. But there was a few people having things. But the thing that was weird to me, which won't be weird to you, was hash browns.
Very American.
I never heard of it.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it, and I was like, "What the fuck are hash browns?" Frozen hash browns is what he was getting. He's a Mexican kid, and I was like, "What hash browns?" And then I saw him cook them, and I was like, I want to have hash browns, but I can't have them now because I'm fighting and they're bad for you and all that sort of stuff. So the first time I ever tried hash browns was in this house, and they are epic. And I got
those frozen hash browns.
Yeah.
For like a couple of years, me and my buddy I was living with, every morning we'd make bacon, eggs, and those frozen hash browns, and we'd eat that every morning for probably 2 years straight.
Perfect. So that was my introduction to hash browns. Anyway, so then I went through that process, and it was like after that, and I come out the house, I ended up renting a flat above the gym that I was sleeping in.
Okay.
So I'd gone from sleeping on the floor.
You're back to the UK
after the show. Show wraps up. 8 weeks in, done. We wrap up. Yeah. I had some crazy times, which maybe we'll talk about in a bit. Yeah. And then I flew back to the UK, and I was there for a little while. And then there's a fighter called Chael Sonnen, and he was fighting John Jones. So I went out for a training camp with him for 6 months to then fight in the UFC and make my debut. But in the in-between time, I rented an apartment which is above the gym. Yeah. So I went from sleeping on the gym floor to getting a bed behind reception to getting an apartment above the gym. It was not a good apartment. And I'll get to that as well, but it was shit. But anyway, I was like progressing in life. That's how I saw it. And then I went out to Oregon, Western Oregon, where Chael, and I was in Oregon for about 7 months.
Chael was on the... Was he one of the...
He was my coach.
On the show, he was your coach, right?
Yeah, he was my coach on the
Because it was like Team Chael against Team Jones, right?
Yeah. So it was like he was my coach. I was his number one pick. And then we started training together. We became friends and training or whatever. So I then went to the States. But I'd gone from being completely dirt broke to fighting my way up to getting to the UFC level. Then from that, going out to Oregon. And I made my debut. So like I said before, when I quit my job, I'd always said to myself, I'm going to fight in the UFC by the time I'm 25. Like, that was my goal. I wrote it down every day. I've got this whole process about goal setting and all this sort of stuff and, affirmations and everything. And when I did that, I come out the Ultimate Fighter. I always said I was going to go through the Ultimate Fighter. My coach believed it was the best route for me, all this sort of stuff. I was undefeated apart from Andrew Tate by that time. I had 16 fights, and I lost one, which was my second fight, which was against Andrew. The other ones I'd all won, most of them by finish apart from one. And then I went on the Ultimate Fighter. And after that, they set the date for my UFC debut. And the date for the UFC debut was the 13th of April, 2013, which is my birthday. Which was my 25th birthday.
Okay.
So I actually fought in the UFC on my 25th birthday that I had said for like 7 years that I was going to do. Damn. I'm going to be in the UFC before I'm 25. On my 25th birthday, I fought in the UFC. So it was like quite crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was. And I believe from that experience, like giving up my job, going all in, doing everything that I could possibly do to fight in the UFC, saying I was going to do it by the time I was 25, achieving that goal, and then fighting in the UFC by the time I was 25, I now believe I can do anything. Like, I honestly believe if I put my mind to something and I want to do it, I can make it happen because I believe that I can influence the universe to do whatever I want to do. I know it sounds like crazy, but that's like...
Well, no, it doesn't sound crazy because I've had similar experiences in my life. For me, maybe it was getting 1 million subscribers on YouTube, but it was the same idea that once you maybe achieve that thing that's been on your mind for years, that it's like, well, what's the fucking next thing for me?
Yeah, because I believe this about the UFC. I believe anyone can fight in the UFC. Anyone. If you start at a certain age. Now it's probably you got to start at like 12. But
more competitive now.
Yeah, it's more competitive now than it was 10 years ago, 100%. But if you start at 12 and you want to fight in the UFC and you give everything to fighting in the UFC, you will fight in the UFC. There's no ifs, buts, what, talent, bullshit, excuse, nothing. You will do it because it's inevitable if you put the effort in. That's what I believe because that's what I did and that's what happened. And I believe if you want 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I'm sure you know loads of creators, loads of guys in the space, it's like it's inevitable that you'll get those followers. You just got to make the content.
Exactly, yeah. If you take the right steps, right?
Yeah. And you consistently make the right sacrifices, the right steps, do the right thing. So to make 1 million, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's inevitable if you do the right work, like everything.
Yeah. It's like if you put the time in, but you also are making sure like you're leveling up the daily steps you're taking. Right? But I think that's a mistake a lot of people. I see, at least with like content, I see a lot of people, man, bro, I've been making video for 7 years. Can you look at my stuff? But then I look at like their new videos and like, but these aren't even better than ones from 3 years ago. So obviously you're not going to get there. Like there needs to be some progression. I mean, it's the same with fighting. I'm sure you can't just be hitting the bag, just doing 1, 2, 3 for 7 years straight. That's not going to do anything.
No, you need to You need to test. You need to change. You need to develop. You need to do things. And that in the fight world is like different training partners. Like I would travel an hour and a half. The gym that I slept in. Again, back to geography. Yeah. You got Liverpool, Manchester, Cambridge, London. Some people like if you were from Cambridge and you went to America, and they asked you where you're from, they would say London. Yeah. Because they can't bother to explain to you that Cambridge is an hour and a half outside of London. It's a completely different place. But that's what they would say. So Cambridge, where I was living, I used to live in Essex, and it's an hour and a half drive. And Jack would drive an hour and a half to train, an hour and a half back after working all day in London. So the sacrifice that I would have to make to train at this gym, which was a high-level gym, was 3 hours in the car just to get there. And I would be up at 5:30 to go to work, to then finish work, to then go to the gym. So I'm saying like you have to make the sacrifices. To like everything. So I don't know what it's going to be like with content creation, but anyway.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, same thing.
It's like if you're willing to make the sacrifices and you do the work, it is inevitable that you'll get the thing. And I hate keep bringing up Tate, but Tate has this phrase that really resonates with me. It's like, I have never met someone that has truly wanted something and they have given everything for it and they haven't got that thing.
Yes.
And neither have I. Yeah. I never met anyone like everyone, because my circle now is a lot more successful than it was 10 years ago. The successful people I know, they have all honed in on something, given it everything, and they've got it. There's no one that's like, I tried to get this, but I couldn't get it. Because they just know they didn't work hard enough, or they didn't make the sacrifices, or they didn't, there's something that you want, you're going to get it if you fucking do the work to get it. It's inevitable, Yeah. And that's the confidence or the self-confidence that I have within myself because I've already achieved these things. You know what I mean? Like doing the UFC thing by the time I was 25, all that sort of stuff. Left the UFC. Now I know I could do anything.
You can start to apply it to different things, but it's the same. Achieving anything is achieving everything, I guess, right? For me, actually, I think it maybe even started before the YouTube thing when I was really shitty with girls, to be honest. And then like I graduated college, and I was like, all right, I've seen all my friends doing this for too long. Like I'm just gonna like figure it out because I have some weird mental block. And then after I focused on that for like a year or two, I was like, okay, well now I can get 4 or 5 dates a week if I want to, and I'm consistently sleeping with girls. And I was like, all right, maybe I'm getting a little degenerate now, but at least I proved to myself that something I used to think was impossible, it was actually possible.
Yeah, and again, that's a great way to like make it more real for the guys. Is like, if you're struggling with girls, it's inevitable that you're going to be good with girls if you put in the work to be good with girls. You just have to do the work. Yeah. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be awkward. So the way I like to talk about it is like you have to identify the problem, and then you have to create the belief. And then you have to know that you deserve it. And then once you do that, you have to do the work. Yeah. So like identify the problem. I can't walk up to a girl and talk to a girl or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So I need the belief that it's possible that if I walk up to a girl and I talk to her that she's going to respond. Yeah. That belief sometimes might come from, you just said, your friends. I see my friends do it. Yeah. Why can't I do it? Yeah. That's always where my belief starts, is like,
someone else that I know can do it.
That guy makes $1 million a month. Yeah. Why can't I make $1 million a month? It's like I'm smarter than that guy. There's always like how I go in my head. So when I can see that they can do it, so you've identified it, you've got that belief system. Then from there, you need to work out how to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like the only thing that stops this flow, you said it, is like blockages in the brain.
Yeah,
So
or giving up, I guess.
I mean, giving up's is for pussies, but like, it's like the blockage in the brain. Like, okay, obviously, some people have been through trauma, some people have trouble. Like, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have like you have to get rid of the blockages. It's believing that you deserve it is the one I missed. Like, believing that you deserve it can be a big one.
That gets rid of those blockages. If you genuinely believe that I can do this and I deserve it.
And so if it's I have to identify I'm bad with girls, I need to believe that it's going to work. I see other people do it. I have to think that I'm worthy of it or I deserve it. That's the blockages.
That's probably the hardest step.
Yeah. That's the hardest step for a lot of people. And then from there, you just do the work and the result comes. So I try and apply that to anything that I want to do, business related now or family related or anything that I want. Like some people honestly don't believe they deserve a healthy relationship because they didn't grow up in a healthy relationship around them or they don't have good role models or whatever it is. So but once you identify that is the thing that's stopping you from having a healthy relationship, you can work on it, right? So it's just that process for me. I try and apply it to everything in my life, and I'm very self-aware, and I do a lot of self-analysis, and I look at myself and think, okay, like this podcast, I'll watch back, and I'll be like, okay, that was good, that was bad. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? And then you become better and better and better, and you like clean. And again, the guys that create content, you said the guy for 7 years who's got nowhere, he's not doing that.
Yeah, there's some level of self-awareness you have to have, right? To be able to look at something you did and be like, and maybe there's still some pain associated with like, oh, I was a complete jackass when I said this thing or when I did that thing. But like, you have to also be able to like analyze it, I guess, and be like, well, the next time I'm in that situation, I won't do that thing.
It's a positive.
That's the circle most people are missing.
Yeah, exactly. You make them. So that's like why most people are too scared to do anything because they're scared they're going to do it and fuck up, and everyone's going to judge them, and they're like, cool. I want to be judged. I don't want to fuck up because then I know the next time I do it, I won't do that.
Well, I think most people, they're like, they have what you're saying. They're so they're so afraid of being judged. They're so afraid they're going to fuck up. And then like once a year they work up the courage and then that girl says no or whatever it is that investment the one investment they make like does bad. And then they're like, it's not fucking worth it, man. And then like a year later, they finally have the courage to do it again. And then
I just invested in Hex and the SEC came out and said that they're going to ban it. So yeah, if that was my,
so well.
I think I bought it at like 8 cents. I think now it's 0.3 or 0.4 cents. So it didn't go so well. But if that was the first, I'm just joking. If that was the first thing that I'd ever done where I'd taken the leap of faith. But you have to understand, like I say, believe in the process. You have to understand that when you take that leap of faith, you are going to get smacked down. Like it is going to happen. Like that's part of the process. And then you have to build back up and understand why that didn't work out, why it was a mistake, why I have to do it this way or whatever, you know, like. I think having the fear of rejection, I guess, is what they say. I'm again talking about women now, which isn't my thing, but we'll try. The fear of rejection that you get from trying to talk to girls is like, I'll tell a story about myself, which maybe makes it better. So I told that whole story about me living in a gym. I did meet a girl, and I was with her for a little while, and she broke up with me, and it like destroyed me, as everyone goes through, right? The first girl that breaks your heart, breaks your heart. Yeah. So that happened to me. And it happened to me around the time that I decided to move into the gym. So this was before I moved into the gym.
Okay.
And I was living in Peterborough at the time, which is just outside Cambridge. I'm not going to go into geography, but it's a shithole. It's a shithole. It's a tough place, and I was running a pub there, or whatever. And when this happened to me, I think this is the decision that makes the difference. Is like she broke up with me, and I looked at the situation again, self-awareness. I was like, this is 100% my problem. I am not good enough for this woman. That's the issue here. It's not her fault. She's not some slag. She's not like, it's my problem because I am not good enough. You know, when like women will say to other women like, oh, he's not good enough for you, bro. Like whatever.
Yeah.
That's 100% wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
I mean, there might be some truth, but that's the wrong way to process it.
It's like, you're the queen. It's like, okay, if the guy broke up with you or the girl broke up with you, it's your fault 100%. Some way. I'm not saying, like, you weren't, maybe it was, I mean, we're going to get a bit more deep, but it's the selection process.
Maybe it was your fault because you chose the wrong person to begin with.
So it's still your fault.
Yeah, still your fault.
Whatever you want to say. But for me, I was like, this is, again, the negative that I turned into a positive was like, it's my fault that she broke up with me. She doesn't want me because I'm not good enough. So I need to become better. If I become better, she's going to want me. That was my like first reaction, my first thought. I mean,
maybe not the healthiest way to process it, but a productive way. Still.
Productive,
yeah.
which is healthy and productive. Like,
I mean, effective at the end of the day.
Effective.
Still. Yeah.
So from that, I decided, like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this fighting thing. I think I'm good at it. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to give it everything. Blah blah blah. So I gave it everything, and from that, my whole life went like up. And that failure or that heartbreak that I then repurposed into something that's going to give me fuel to get better as a man is the reason I became the man that I became, right? So it's like I'm happy that I met that girl now and that she broke my heart.
Yeah.
Like I'm awesome.
Yeah.
I'll never speak to her again.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
But it's like without she was the initial motivator for me to get moving.
That's what I tell guys when they're in like really low points. It's like, this is the beginning of your hero story, you could call it. Like, this is the beginning, right? Like, if you use this is like Batman just getting beat down and like being almost dead. And I don't know, that whatever, the first Batman recent movie where he's like over in like Asia or something, climbing this pyramid. But it's like, this is you at like your lowest point, which means that if it's a good movie, right? Like, this is the beginning of the comeback story.
There's no one else that can. I could either just have met another girl and she break my heart again, or I could become a better man, and then that's what I did, and that's how I bring it to some light. I mean, I was like 18, 19, and then I met my wife when I was 25 or 24, 25, I think.
So how did you meet your wife?
Online.
Okay.
Back in the day,
yeah,
there was a website called Plenty of Fish.
Okay,
It was like the first.
I think it might still be around. I don't know.
Probably, but it was like the original.
The OG
like,
dating
site. Yeah. And I just discovered it.
Yeah.
So I was in Canada, cornering my friend not cornering. I was like with him for the UFC fight. His name's John, and all these Canadians were talking about Plenty of Fish. I was like, what is that?
Is your wife Canadian? Well, you can say
no, she's not. I was like, what? So I ended up like getting this app, or no, it wasn't an app. It was a website.
Just a web. I don't even know if apps were around then.
No, it wasn't. So it was like, and it was on this website, and I made up my profile. I can't even remember really what I did. And I went on a date in Canada with some Canadian girl through this website. I was like, this is like dark magic. You know what I mean? Like online dating. Like I'd never seen it before. And anyway, so then wind forward like a month or 2 months or something like that, I was on the app, and you could change your location. Like now you can do it, I think, on there. I've never had like the new ones.
Yeah, you can do it. You can change the location.
So my location on the website, I put it as Liverpool because my friend Jack was fighting in Liverpool, and I was like, sweet, gonna go to Liverpool, gonna meet some chick. So I changed it to Liverpool, and I started talking to some girls, and my wife, I must have messaged her. I'm not going to pretend like she messaged me. I'm pretty sure I messaged her.
Usually it's the case.
Yeah. But she responded, and we got talking. And I remember my like move, if you want to call it a move. Again, I'm useless at this shit. Was like, I haven't got time to text. If you want to ring me, this is my number. Or like, let's go on the phone. She was my wife's hot, so I was like, she's hot. I'm going to go for her, but I'm not going to like go back and forth. Hey, I was like, listen, I'm busy. If you want to talk, call me number or something like that.
Yeah.
She'll probably tell a different story, but that's how I remember it.
That's how it goes. Usually, usually they have their own version. Yeah.
And then I rang her on the phone. I remember the time, like in my head, I was sitting in the garden in my mum's old place in England, and like we spoke on the phone for ages. And I was like, okay, this girl seems all right. And then I went to Liverpool for the event, and the event was on the Saturday. I took her out on the Thursday. Then she would come out with me on the Friday. Then she came out Saturday night, and on the Saturday night was the fight night. My mate fought. We all went out and got drunk and all that sort of stuff. And my other mate ended up back at her house somehow and like video called me in the morning. But it was all sweet.
Yeah.
And it was like, went for a good experience. But I lived in Cambridge.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive.
So your mate?
My mate ended up trying to sleep with her friend.
Okay.
So he went back to her house with the friend.
Okay.
And video called me in the morning at our house. And I was like, bro, you're ruining this for me. Like, what are you doing? Like her dad was telling him to get out of the house. You know what I mean? I was like, okay. So then I thought, I was at some expo thing, like some fitness expo thing, on a stand on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was working, so I didn't have my phone. And I was thinking, she must hate me because my mate went back to the house, and she was thinking I must hate her because we hadn't spoken all day, all this sort of stuff. And then obviously all ended up all right, but it was just like that was my first and only like online dating thing.
Yeah,
Plenty of Fish. I was on it for about 2 months. Met my wife, we got dating, and then I lived in Cambridge in the apartment by this time. Remember I said I was in an apartment by the gym?
And she was in Liverpool.
And she was in the Wirral, which is basically Liverpool, which is like 5 hours away.
Okay.
So it's like a 5 hour difference. And this is what I think a lot of guys, this is where I think I accidentally did quite well with my wife because it wasn't on purpose in any way. But like now you have the internet and all these people talking about frame and masculinity and all this stuff that I had no knowledge of. But my reality was I couldn't drive. I lived in the gym. I was still the man because I was fighting and all that sort of stuff. But I wasn't like, I didn't have money or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I made, okay, I have to be careful how I say this. My wife decided to drive to me from Liverpool or from the Wirral to Cambridge. Every weekend she would drive down to me.
Yes.
So I physically couldn't drive to her.
Yes.
So if she wanted to see me, that I was training all week.
So that kind of established the masculine frame, so to speak.
Or accidentally. It's like, you want to see me, you got to come here.
Yeah.
Like, so she would drive. Imagine like.
But it was organic. I mean, it was true. It was you were busy, you were grinding, you were trying to make the. This is after the UFC started.
I was in the UFC.
You were UFC, but you were on your mission. You were your purpose. Whatever people will say. Yeah.
I was on my mission. I was driven. I was very, very. And this is
so established the frame
instantly.
Organically, rather than you weren't like forcing it, trying to do it. Yeah.
I didn't know what frame was. So I was like, all right. And so she would travel down to me, and that put me in like the masculine frame in my house, in my whatever.
Yep.
And I would be training. And my phrase, again, this is all completely accidental. My phrase to her was like, I do what I want when I want.
Yeah.
If you want to be involved and come along, amazing.
Yes.
Like I want you to be around,
yes.
but you're never going to get in the way of what I'm doing because I'm on my purpose.
Yes.
I'm on my mission. I'm going to fight in the UFC. I got to fight this guy. Blah, 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 blah. So if you want to be around, cool.
And how did she respond to that?
Positively, obviously, you know. So she was like respected that I was doing my thing, and she obviously looked up to me, and you know, that set our relationship up from the beginning. Like, I'm the man. I'm doing what I need to do. If you want to come along, come along.
Yeah.
If you don't, there's plenty of guys out there that I'm sure will be happy to have you because you're beautiful. Blah blah blah, whatever. And it's like not being thirsty and not being like she's more important than my life.
Yeah.
I think was a great.
But you also weren't like putting her down or being disrespectful. You were just like, this is kind of the frame, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which I didn't understand. And I would say that to all the time. And then she ended up after about 6 months. Again, every weekend come and see me. I think I went to Liverpool once. Got the train up there or something. And then she would come and see me. And then I was like, this is crazy. Like every Sunday night, she was driving home later and later because she wanted to stay with me and all that sort of stuff. And she was tired on the way home. And like she thought she was going to fall asleep driving. It's like I said, it's a 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
So it got to the point I was like, why don't you just live with me?
Yeah.
You know, like just move in. Like so after 6 months, she moved in. And we were like together constantly. And then my gym kind of like fell apart. So I was going to America. And she had a job at this point in Cambridge and all this sort of stuff. So I was like, I'm going to San Diego. See you later.
Yeah.
You know. So what actually ended up happening is I proposed before I went to America. I took her to Paris and I proposed on the Eiffel Tower because I'm a G. And
this is you moved in after 6 months and you proposed after
another 8 months, maybe. It was like super quick.
So it was like a little over a year.
A little over a year.
And how did you decide to propose?
Okay, I was on the phone to my mum.
Yeah.
This is funny. I was on the phone to my mum, and she said, well, because we were chatting away, and she was like, well, if you like her that much, you should just marry her. Why are you wasting your time? Just marry her. I was like, okay. it was like my mum was even, she probably doesn't know that. Lucy probably doesn't know that. Yeah. But I was like, no, you're right. Like that's definitely what I should do. And then I spoke to my friend Tom at the time, and I went ring shopping and all that. And went to there's a Jewish quarter in London where you buy rings. And anyway, so and then I decided to propose, and we went to Paris. I'm not sure if it was our anniversary, so I don't think it was. I think we just, but there was some reason we were going to Paris, and it was like I got the night. We stayed at the Raffles, which is like a super nice hotel. I was broke.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't broke, but I was not. I was in the UFC, but early days.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
And I tell this story about breakfast at this hotel. It was ridiculous. I know now because I've stayed at plenty of luxury hotels, but my hotel room, I think for the night was like $1,600 or something like that. But I knew someone,
and that's back in 2000, so now that's probably $3K or something for the night.
The Raffles is, if you look up, the Raffles right next to, it's in Paris. Sick. I can't remember the name of it. But that hotel, my friend, his mum worked for their like directors or something, so I got it cheap. Yeah, I got it for like $300.
Okay, nice.
I wasn't paying like that, but we were staying at this super fancy place, and I wasn't used to super fancy places, so I was staying there, and I was like, okay, these guys, they're spending $1,600 a night on a hotel or whatever. Super nice. It was an amazing place. Yeah. Went down for breakfast. And I'm like, breakfast is free. Like they have like this huge buffet of every sort of caviar you want, champagne, like everything you could imagine, right? Sitting there and I'm like, this is pretty cool. I had like a mimosa or whatever you call it in America, like orange juice and champagne. And I had like a croissant because I don't really eat breakfast because I'm not a breakfast guy. And she had the same or whatever. And we went to leave and the guy was like, this was the day I was going to propose.
Yes.
The guy was like, you got to pay. So breakfast wasn't included in the hotel.
You were sure it was.
But I was
But you were
sure
like, well,
it was.
$1,600 a night. You got to have breakfast.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And I was like, and the breakfast was 320 euros.
Which is the same you paid for the room. Right?
Exactly. And I was like,
Ooh.
and I was gonna, but that day I was gonna propose. So I was like, no big deal, don't worry about it. And I'd booked like a really fancy restaurant. So I was like, okay, cool, pay. And we walked around the corner and I saw there was like orange juice and a croissant for like €3. And I got so fucking angry, but I just carried on. Like, so it's all good. And then,
fuck. We could have just walked through Paris with a croissant.
yeah, exactly. And that would have been fine. Then we went, I can't remember what we did, went shopping or did whatever. It poured down with rain. We came back to the hotel. I bought her a dress and stuff for this. So we all got dressed up. So I was dressed in like a suit, tie, everything to go to the Eiffel Tower. So we went to the Eiffel Tower and you can go to like the top where there's like a champagne bar at the top of the Eiffel Tower. And there was like people in cargo pants, and we're like, dressed up. You know what I mean? And my wife was like, why are we so dressed up? I was like, because we're going to go to dinner afterwards and wants to look nice.
Right. So that morning you had told her, hey, like, wear something nice.
No, I bought her like a dress and everything. Okay. Like I bought her an outfit for her to wear and I made it wear it and all that sort of stuff. So we had like a tour of the Eiffel Tower. I proposed at the top of the Eiffel Tower and then we went for like some fancy dinner. Then she kind of understood why she was all dressed up. I can't remember the point of this story, but I'm telling her anyway. But yeah, so like that whole Paris experience was I really can't remember where I was going with it, but it was about frame. Like I picked what she was going to wear. I decided where we were going to go. But it was like automatic. You know what I mean? Like so she was the woman in the whole scenario. Yes. Now I remembered what I was talking about. So now I proposed to her, and then about a month later.
Well, one more question.
Okay, yeah.
So I know you say like you talk to your mom, and you're like, like why not? But like today,
why not? That's not what I meant.
No. That's what I'm gonna ask. Because especially in 2023, with all the I don't know you call it Tate, Red Pill, Manosphere, there's like a lot of conflicting opinions on getting married. Should a man get married? Should a man? I chose to get married too, right? So I have a bias as well. But how did you know? Like, because there's some thought process, right? How did you know? Like, I'm ready to commit to this girl for the rest of my life. Because in 2023, I think a lot of guys like I don't think I can ever do that. Yeah,
I know. I think. It comes to like the quality of my wife's. You'll meet her one day. Amazing woman.
Yeah.
You know. So like, I think going from I made it like I underestimated my dating way. I dated a bit when I was younger, and I think again, this is what I thought. When you get to a certain level as a man, you attract a certain kind of female, right? So I had been struggling. I was still kind of struggling, but I was doing a lot better. So the level of female that I attracted was a lot higher. My wife, she was a much higher level of female. So at 25, 26, I was like, I'm doing good. She's great. Like, not that I couldn't ever do any better, but I was like, I could see myself having children with her. I could see myself having a life with her. I don't, and this is no disrespect to you.
This is we got the gardeners out here now. We got like I've never heard an airplane come by here ever. I think these mics will be good, but it's funny because right before we started the podcast, I was like, I've been really lucky. Like I know sometimes they garden, but it never happens during the pods. I think we'll be good, but hopefully there's no bombs dropped next. But go ahead. You were saying no disrespect.
There's no disrespect in this way, but like I used to view it that if you're gonna get married, it should like the old way people got married, even like they got wives selected for them, all that sort of stuff. I believe like when you fall in love, then you should get married. Like I got a lot of friends that have been with their girlfriend for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's get married. Then don't get married. Yeah. There's no point in being married unless you're religious or you have like some or whatever. Like if you've been together for forever and we were like a year in, and I was like, I want to marry this girl because I love her and whatever, and I want to make her feel happy and special and blah blah blah. But if I'd been with her for 10 years, I'm like, we're already married. Like, so I don't know. That was just my thought process with it. Was like, I don't want to have kids with this woman. She's amazing.
She's gonna be a good mother.
She's gonna be a good mother.
Yeah.
And again, the world 10 years ago was different. There was no Instagram. There was no there was none of all this stuff. So,
but there was green flags. Again,
every flag was
I'm
green.
going to translate this to 2023.
Yeah, thank you,
there was green flags. She bought into your frame. She was supporting what you were doing, which
100% supportive of me. That
which
was like
I imagine some. I mean, I imagine there's girls who are really attracted to fighters. But I imagine there's some girls too are like maybe a bit hesitant for like I don't know, like if that's I don't know. I've never been a fighter, so I don't know. Like, but I
make it like you attract a certain archetype of woman, which is not good, like in my opinion.
And this she stood apart from those.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
She said traditional values. Obviously, your family liked her.
Yeah. And I think that early on in it, it was like I just felt different about her. I don't know how to explain it. I felt different, but
But I think there is, because I think there is some degree of like, and it's tough in 2023 because you say things like that and people are like, oh, like don't trust your feelings, bro. But I do think when you meet, and it's not like the only girl could ever work with, but I do think when you meet a girl who like, A, has like wife qualities, but B, like you have a very strong chemistry. I do think that it was the same with me and Julia, where I felt like I did have some feeling like this could really be a good thing.
Well, I think support for me is the number one thing.
Yeah.
Like I know a little bit. Yeah. It's all about love languages, right? So they have the love languages. Men's love languages are always the same. It's acts of service is like the number one, mainly for guys. Physical and acts of service. Yeah. So
you're saying when we physical always, right? We always like physical touch, things like that, and then we like when they do acts of service for us.
Yeah. So saying my love languages are physical touch, acts of service. Yes. They're like I don't care about if a woman says that I'm look good or I'm
compliments.
Doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
That means nothing. Presence means nothing to me. Yeah. I don't know what the other one is. There'll be another one. But anyway, it's like for me, acts of service is top of the list. Yeah. So it's like I think that's most men, acts of service. Not all men, but most men. And
physical touch.
Physical touch. Yeah. So for me with my wife, like she supported me 100%, had my back from the beginning. Like I said, she would drive down to me. That was my fight career. She was a part of it. Then this is what I was going to say. So I proposed to her. And then a month later or a few months later, I decided I was going to go to California.
Yep.
But I was going to go without her. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm going to go to California and you're my fiance now. She wasn't like my girlfriend. Yeah. And I'm like going to leave you and you're going to stay in Manchester. And she was like, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I understand. You got to follow your dream. I'll be here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then what we did was we got married in secret, like to help with paperwork going to the US if she ever wanted to come to the US.
Yes.
The visa, because I had a visa, but she
could get it by extension if you choose your wife.
Right? So I'd already proposed. The proposal had nothing to do with going to America, but we actually physically got married because I was going to go to America. So imagine this in 2023, right? I got married at like 11 o'clock on like a Thursday or something in a registry office with two like witnesses that were my mates. And then that day, I got the train to London and I flew to America. So I married my wife and then the same day flew to America.
Yes.
So we didn't even spend the night together when we got married because we just saw it as paperwork because we weren't like, we knew we were going to get married at some point, but we were engaged and all that sort of stuff. So again, she followed my frame. She supported me. She was loving towards me. So those sort of things, like, it's just...
Support's the big one, which I guess is acts of service if we're saying it. Because for me, it was the same where... I mean, I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but obviously you may not know. At the beginning, on the YouTube journey, she was filming videos for me. She quit her job when we launched the clothing brand. Way back, I used to film these videos approaching girls in Boston where I used to live because those types of videos that were like on trend at that point in time. And she was out there filming me like approaching girls. So the same idea though that those acts of service up front, I think help maybe the easiest thing to like identify maybe a more wife quality type of person.
Yeah. You just said like this is someone I could be with, and then
a ride or die.
Yeah. And this is the other part of it is like I said I was living in a flat above the gym that she moved into. Yeah. It was not a nice flat. Yeah. We had like rats. Like it was like the worst of the worst of the worst. And she accepted it. Yeah. She fucking painted the whole house. Yeah. She like decorated. She tried to make it as nice as possible. And I was like, this girl was like bringing me, like that's how I looked at it. She was like improving me.
She was complimenting what you had. She was complimenting, bringing other things that you weren't going to do.
She was complimenting that too, but also she made me want to be a better man. That's kind of what I felt from her. Like, okay, she's like stupid stuff, but she's like making me feel like I need to improve at this to keep her, if you want to call it that or whatever. So I have to become a better man. Yeah. So she made me better. That's kind of how I looked at it at the time. And then like I said, we got married because I was going to the States. And then 2 miles away, 2 months, on my own, completely in America, in California, training like a madman because I had a fight coming up. And I rang her one day, and she was working a job in Cambridge, and she like broke down crying, like, you know, like.
How long is this after?
Yeah, 2 months. Okay. 2 months. She was like, I'm on my own, and I hate my job, and she was working in recruitment. It's like, you know what recruitment is? Is it the same in the States? It's like when you phone people to get them jobs.
Yeah. I think it's HR, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's recruitment. Maybe it's the same thing. I don't know.
I don't know. But it was a horrible job. And I was like, just come to America. Like, you could have come at any point. Like, like by this point. And anyway, so then she came out, and we lived together. So I'm saying, she was with me when we were in the rat-infested apartment in Cambridge. She was with me on the yacht in San Diego. She was with, like, so she's gone through the thick and thin of everything. So it's and the next stage, which I don't know if it's in your future or whatever, but then it's the kids thing.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about now. Yeah, no, we're probably next year gonna have our first.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so, you have 2 girls.
2 girls.
Okay, with one last question before we get to children and fatherhood. What, because you've 10 or 11 years now, or 12 years total with your wife, right? Since like the moment you met her.
Yeah, more or less 10, 11, something like that. Don't quiz me, because she'll definitely watch.
Something like that. But that's a long time. And you seem to be in love with her, right? You seem like to truly care about her. And it seems like it's the marriage or the relationship has withstood the test of time so far. Like, what would you say is like a piece of advice you maybe give to even to me, right? Because I'm married for 1 year now. I've been with my wife for 6 years, I guess, because I proposed to her after 2 or 3, but then again, because of the pandemic, we didn't technically get married for a few years later. But like, to have that longevity.
I mean, I don't. For me, I would still consider my marriage quite young. Like, I know guys have been married 25, 26 years. But
the idea is for it to be the rest of our life, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's like,
but relative to, you're the only married guy I've had on the show, right?
So I mean, I don't want to give out marriage advice, but it's fine.
You're the most qualified I've had.
Okay. I think every like relationship goes up and down and has bad bits and bad patches. And I think when you're before kids, everything's easy. To be honest, like, kids is a super challenge, unbelievable challenge. Like, before that, you just have to worry about yourself, really, and she has to worry about herself. Once you start adding kids into the mix, I'm not saying don't do it, because they're the most amazing thing in the world, but I'm saying, like, and again, my wife's going to hate me for saying this, but it's fine. When you have a kid, as a man, I'm talking as a man, it's not hard having kids. Kids are super easy. Kids are the most amazing, precious, simple thing in the world. You might maybe ask me about being a father, whatever. It's the most natural, simple, easy thing. Being a father is easy. There is nothing hard about it. Having a wife that gets pregnant and gives birth to a child is difficult.
Yeah.
She will completely change. Completely.
Well,
woman,
their hormones do some crazy shit, right? Yeah. I mean, a person grows inside of them, I suppose.
Yeah. So the woman that you know, Julia, right? She'll be a completely different person.
Yeah.
So you have to have like elasticity, or like you need to be able to bend with that situation and understand her, which is not very easy. And it goes on for like years. It's not like a couple of months. It's like a full transformation of who she is and her identity and all that sort of stuff. So you have to understand her identity will completely change because she has a child and she becomes a mother. And that, once you're a mother, you're a completely different person. And I think we like disconnected a little bit when that all happened, and we started focusing on the kids like you do, and you focus. But then they get
How old are your 2 kids?
4 and going to be 2 soon, so still young.
Okay, so the first one was 4 years ago. So she was pregnant 5 years ago.
Yeah. So it's like 5 years of this period or whatever. And we had it she was 1 during the pandemic, 2 years, like something like that. So it's like, it's a very challenging time, super challenging, but not in like a negative way, just in a positive way. But then, so I would say, like, my advice is to maintain frame is super important, which I didn't know about. This is, again, I mean, we could talk about Tate and the war room and all this other stuff that I'm involved in. Yeah. But I think without that sort of stuff, my marriage would be in a lot of a worse place than it is now. I think my wife is happier and I am happier than I've ever been because of the lessons that I've learned through the war room. So
what are some things you like to maintain frame with having kids? Yeah. Like, what are some things you've done?
Well, I wouldn't say maintain, just not just maintain frame. I'll finish the point, but I mean, like, when you get married, you're like where you are now, is like she fell in love with you because of the man that you are, right? And what happens when you get married is you're like around them all the time, obviously, because you live together, and she starts to test you. be like, let's watch Netflix. Let's do this. Let's do that. And you're like, they slowly eat away at the man that you are, right? It's just natural.
Yeah,
That's
it's not like
do.
devious behavior.
No. It's just like it's just what women do.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And if you don't maintain like, no, I'm driven, like you said about, I have this goal.
Yes.
This is who I'm going to become. You're along for the ride if you want to be. And I know it sounds like if you snip that out, it sounds bad, but it's not.
We'll snip that. No,
yeah. But I'm saying it's like, if you're along for the ride, great. And I love you and I'll provide and I'll do everything I want. But if you stop being that man, you become unhappy because you're like bending to her. Like, what do they call it? Compromise.
Yes.
You start to compromise a little bit too much.
So you start to compromise like who you actually are.
Yeah.
You compromise your own identity.
Yeah. So when you compromise your own identity, what you don't realize is she is in love with you because of that identity. So she fell in love, and
even if she's testing it and fighting even if she's, and you're saying that dial gets turned up a lot with the children. With the children
even more, because it's like, I'm at home with the kids all the time and you're out. It's like, yeah, but I'm being the man that you fell in love with. Yeah. Like, you obviously you have to. There are things you have to do, but I'm just saying, like, maintaining that frame for me, I think, because with my first child, I didn't maintain frame. I didn't. I like changed all the diapers, looked after her all the time. Like I was, which again, some people will say that's being a good dad, right? And there's an argument there, right? For me, it depends what you consider being a good father, right? And now the second child that we have, because I'm so busy, we're on my mission, work and all that sort of stuff, I've not been around as much, and my wife has had to look after the kid. And that, for me...
When you say you're not around as much, because you still live together with them.
We live together, but I travel for work.
Okay.
And this is the first... We're in August now. This is the first time in the year that I will be home consecutively 2 weekends on the trot, because I travel so much. Yeah. So I'm away a lot. And she's, as a mother, is incredible and does her job, and it's incredible. But my other child, Annabelle, the younger, she, I believe, in my eyes, has had a better upbringing than the first. Because the first, I was medley coddling her, I was with her all the time, and me and my wife's relationship went to shit because she looked at me as a woman. In a way, like not the same, like identical, but I didn't have masculine frame at all. I was bending to her will. She was testing me. Oh, you change diapers. You do this. You do that. I'm like, okay. Because I thought that was being a good dad and being a good guy, and I'm a nice person, and Yeah. But then, because of my life and how it's been, it's just thought, again, it's not on purpose. It's just automatic. Now the frame is so much more solid than it's ever been. And I'm happier than I've ever been. And because I'm happier than I've ever been, she's happier than she's ever been. And our kids are happier than they've ever been. But if you let your identity be affected and you compromise too much and start to do this is the thing that people get confused. Your wife is asking you to do these things. She's saying, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And you have to say, no. It's your responsibility. It's not my responsibility. Yeah. That's your part of the world, and this is my part of the world, and I'm going to provide this, and you're going to provide that. And I think the people that do that are the happiest, in my opinion, from my experience. I'm not saying I don't know everything, but that's my experience. Is like, if you allow them to chip away at your manhood, then they slowly will resent you for not being that person that they fell in love with.
So you're saying, like, rather than going with the flow, essentially, and doing maybe what seems, or what you're being, I don't want to say being pressured to do in the moment, but kind of what you're being pressured to do in the moment, just going with the flow because we've brought this human into the world, and like it kind of seems like the right thing to do. Like, and I know you're also not saying like to never ever help her not change one single fucking diaper if she's sick in bed or something, but you're saying on average to still be like, look, you're the mother, I'm the father, and we're still gonna maintain those roles for the 90% of the time.
And I think being clear about it and upfront about it and setting expectations is the most important thing. So, like, again, I change diapers. Yeah, I got 2 kids. I'm not like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like this morning, I even said to you, I was out last night with the boys. Went out for dinner. Then dinner in Spain goes on to 2:00 in the morning. Got home late. I'm up early because I got the girls, and my wife's a gym fanatic. Yeah. So she's like, as long as I can go to the gym, fine. So I got to look after the kids till 10 in the morning. Then I come here. Yeah. So it's like, I get up, I look after the kids. I woke up, my baby's, shat everywhere, so I've got to sort it out. You know what I mean? So I'm still changing diapers. I'm still looking after the kids. They are 100% my responsibility. Yes. But I think as a man, what the problem is that the people they're too like black and white.
Yes.
They're like, I'm not going to change a single diaper, the robot, or they become like like
another mother.
Yeah. It's like, no, you need to be the man.
Yes.
But you need to be supportive, and you need to help her when she needs it, and all that sort of stuff. So
but you don't want it to be like, yes, it's going to be 50-50 in terms of diaper
bullshit.
changing and who's spending all the time with them. It's like, no, that's going to be your job. Obviously, I'm here to help when needed, but that's your role versus my role is continuing to provide for us and live
And again, I think that it depends on the roles that are set from the beginning, the roles of the relationship, how you want it to be. I believe, and I'm sure you do believe as well, like the happiest relationships are when men lead the relationship and men are in charge. Some feminists will disagree with me and say in the comments that I'm full of shit. Yeah. But she's probably lonely and hates her life. I don't know.
We don't get too many feminist viewers.
Okay, good. But I'm just saying. So it's like if you're the leader of the pack, if you're the leader of the clan, you have to be the leader.
Yeah.
You can't then like go down the tiers and start doing the things that aren't the leader should do. So I believe that a good father leads well, controls frame well, and provides well. You know. That doesn't mean like I'm like this week on Friday I'm going to take my daughter to jiu-jitsu. Doesn't mean I don't have time with my daughter. Doesn't mean I don't. That's what gets confused.
No, you're still spending time with them. No, of course. I think people think too black and white, to ones and zeros, because I think the biggest relationship hack, if you want to call it that, after the initial dating phases is having masculine frame, being the man, having her be the woman. But I think there's also guys who, because they think so black and white, maybe they're not actually the man, right? They're not actually building something, having that motivation, like really doing that, but then they still want the girl to be the woman, and then that's not going to lead anywhere. But she's not going to trust you if you're just like talking the talk, but you're dead broke and you're not trying to accomplish anything.
Exactly.
And I think that's the problem. I think some guys misinterpret the, what do you want to call it, masculinity message that's out there now is like, this is what I deserve. It's like, no, you don't deserve that. You have to build yourself into the man who does deserve that.
And that's what Tate said recently, which resonated with me, is like, if the man isn't the man, then the woman can't be the woman.
No, then the woman's got to be the man. The man's not the man.
So it's saying like, to fix the genders, the man has to fix himself. Again, accountability. I have to be the man. If I'm the man, she will automatically become the woman. Like if I'm doing it, but if I'm making anything wrong or doing that, so another like relationship thing is like date night. Date night's like super important. You know, like as a married guy. Now you're married, like you're around each other all the time. Like having to set out a proper date night is super important. This is the mistake every man makes. Every man. It's like I made it. It's like, oh yeah, we'll go out Saturday. Where do you want to go? No, not where do you want to go. We are going here. I made the reservation. It's 9:00. Make sure you wear this.
Yes.
You have to like again be the man and say and take the action. That's what they want. They want to be taken out. They want to be looked after. They don't want to think. They don't want to be like, oh, I'd like. But obviously, you should know the restaurants that she wants to go to, and you should book the restaurant that she wants to go to. It doesn't mean you just do what you want to do.
Yes.
You do it for her.
Yes.
But you take control of the situation. When you take control of the situation, and you are the one that, like, rather than doing a date night and going like, oh, I know you like that playlist. You just say, right, be ready at 8:00. Whatever, you know. I like it when you wear this, or however you want to do it. But that's like, I started doing that again after my second child. Like now we've been having date nights. I'm way more assertive than I've ever been, and now life's way better than it's ever been. She's happy than it's ever because I'm being the assertive guy and I'm allowing her to be feminine. You know?
No, I think the women want us to more or less plan the day every day, essentially, right? Like more or less. And that doesn't mean that they don't have preferences, but it's like I think date nights is and it seems like such a cliche thing maybe to say like, oh, you got to have date night. But I do think that having at least one date night per week keeps the sexual tension, the romantic nature of the relationship alive, because now you're spending an allotted time together in a romantic environment. You're dressed up, she's dressed up, and you're still dating then. You're married, but you're still dating. Yeah.
So honestly,
it's still exciting,
because I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
When you have a kid, she can't go out. Like,
yes,
to start
there's
with.
some period of time.
There's some period of time, and it's so my two like tips, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
we'll take it
again. Is like would be that date night would definitely be one of them, but taking control of date night.
Yeah.
Like okay, so it's our anniversary in August. I picked the place we're going to go. I booked the flights. I picked the restaurants we're going to go to. I know she wants to go there. We're going to Ibiza. We're going to some nice places.
Yeah.
Like it's not like she's not involved in thinking an idea, but I'm the one who takes action and does it, right?
Yes.
So that's number one. Like have date nights and be the man and have masculine frame on the date nights. Like don't ask her advice. She doesn't want to think. She wants to have a date.
Yeah.
Like you first ever took her out. Like before you even knew who she was, you would message her like, we're going here. My first date was we went to a restaurant and a comedy show. I booked it. I paid for it. I thought about it. I put the effort in.
Yep.
And she just came.
Yep.
Her dad dropped her off, and we went on a date. That's the feeling that she wants, right? She wants the feeling that I'll pick you up at 8 o'clock. Even say that. Even if you live in the same fucking house. It doesn't matter. Drive around the corner, come back, pick her up. I know it sounds silly. But I'll be at work all day, come back and pick her up. Great. I mean, we have babysitters and whatever. So that would be number one.
It's harder than it seems because I think I fall into it's a weak mindset, but in the past, and this is something I've made a renewed effort to do, I don't know, starting some months ago, right? But I think I found the effort or the mindset, like, I'm so, like, grinding myself down all day with all the businesses and all the content that, like, you just handle, like, making the plans, but then it doesn't work. Like, in my mind, it's like that should work, like, logically because of, like, the time investment, but then it loses, like, the specialness of the date night.
So that, like...
So that's a mistake not to make, guys.
Yeah.
I made that mistake for a couple years even.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
So because you start thinking, oh, you take care of that.
You have more free time than I do, so you figure this. That was before kids, obviously. But still,
but still, even with kids, I think the same thing. So, again, it's about having those, like, for me, anything to do with the house, anything. Is her responsibility. Yes. Anything. Yes. I don't even want to think about it. I'm too busy. We've had arguments about it before. I'm like, it's your.
Except maybe like if something breaks, maybe
even then, you call the guy.
Call the plumber. I'm not expecting her to fix the plumbing under the toilet.
I have a lot of talents. A lot, and doing DIY is not one of them. DIY is not my thing. So it's like she knows I'm not going to fix it. So you got to sort it out. Like it's your responsibility. That's her stuff. So. She has enough on her plate. She does everything, Mark. She does and even I was getting Wi-Fi installed. Any phone call, any contract, any bank, it's her responsibility. I was getting Wi-Fi installed at my podcast studio. And I was sitting there, and they were showing me the security. No, security, not Wi-Fi, security. And she was like, "What's the bank account?" I was like, "I don't know. Ring my wife." She's like, "Okay." Which plan do you want to go for? I don't know. Ring my wife. Like, everything is like her responsibility. It's not my responsibility. She does all that stuff for me. She's the admin. She's all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So, but when it comes to the romantic side of your relationship,
that's yours.
That's your responsibility. Yes. You're the man. You have to lead, right? So that's what. Again, this is what I've learned. I fucked up forever. So now I'm like leading that side of things. And since I've been leading that side of things, it's like night and day on what's happened. So that'd be like tip number one. Lead romantically, but everything else in your life, it's up to you how you manage the 50-50 relationship bullshit. Everyone's different.
Yes.
But romantically, the man should lead.
Yes.
I'm not saying, it's like paying the check. Who pays the check? The man pays the check.
Yes.
There's no argument.
Yes.
Right? There's no argument. If you're a feminist, fuck you. Whatever. Right? So that side of things. Number two is time, which maybe was something that you struggle with. I don't know. I mean, I don't think your wife's here, or maybe she is, but like time together, it should be like they should be excited to be around you. So if you're a guy like you or like me that runs businesses and doesn't have a 9-to-5 and doesn't leave the house, I leave the house anyway. So every day I wake up, I go to the gym, I work out, I sauna, I go to the office. I don't need to go to the office. I could go home.
Yes.
But if I'm at home, she then sees me every day sitting on the sofa on my phone. I mean, I'm working, but I'm on my phone, and she thinks like it just doesn't work. So the space between each other, I will go away now. I work like crazy till 7 o'clock at night, come home, see the girls for an hour, 2 hours, put them to bed. Then we have an hour like work together, then we go to sleep. Like, so the time we have together is the morning for an hour and night for a couple of hours. Then date night becomes important.
Yes, it becomes more important, yes.
Because it's like we don't see each other all the time.
Yes.
And I'm away a lot on travel as well, so it's like my time thing's different. But since I've been away a lot, it's like her friends will say to her, "Oh, your husband's away all the time." But actually, it's better. She gets in her rhythm, and when I'm around, she's excited that I'm around. So we have like chemistry again, like when we were dating. Whereas before, if you're around all the time, like COVID, 3 months in the house together, like she doesn't find you attractive. Like the you don't find her attractive. It all like gets all merged up. You know what I mean? So when you're apart, you get like excited. Like, oh, I'm going to see my wife. We're going to go out. We're going to have a good time. Whereas if you're together all day,
it's less special by definition.
And then you go on date night. It's like, well, but we're all day. Well, we're like, who cares? So that's another thing. Like time together and time apart, you have to manage it. And even if you don't have to be away, I would suggest just getting out of the house, separating a little bit and being apart. Me and my wife spent the first 8 years of our relationship in our pockets every day together constantly because I was training. She would look after me. So in certain situations it's different, but I think once kids hit the situation, it's like you need that separation. You need to miss each other, right? To want to be with each other. I think that would be the two tips from some average married guy to say whatever. But I'm not some specialist. But you know what I mean? Like,
No,
that's for me personally.
No, I think there's a lot of wisdom there though. And for the time, I can see the time apart one. That's one that maybe we've gone through different phases. But at first, she worked separately. We had a lot of time apart. But then she's quit her job, started working for me. Then we had a lot of time together. Then the business got successful enough that I could hire out people to do everything she was doing. Then we had a little more time apart. But then we moved to Spain. And here, because we haven't known that many people when we first got here, it's been more time together again. But I love spending time with her, although I can see, and this is like a good forewarning for me because kids are around the corner. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, something I want to ask you about the kids, because most men have this idea like, I just want to have boys. I don't want to have girls. Now I got kids around the corner, and I've kind of accepted this possibility. Yeah, it might be boys, it might be girls. I'm gonna be a good father either way. I'm gonna raise them to be the best, people they can be. How has it been having two girls? Because you're a masculine dude. I'm sure you. I'm sure
a punishment by God. No,
yeah. Well, I don't know if you'll be honest with me now, but I'm sure before them you probably wanted men.
100%. And I think
so. How's the mental? Yeah, how's it been?
Even now, it's difficult. It is hard. It's very, very hard. It's a tough situation. I would like to try and have another child, just to have a boy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to have 3 girls.
Would you be open to doing, because I've heard people say, well, now you can like choose the gender.
I would 100%. I don't know if my wife would, but 100%. If I was going to have a boy, sweet. But now.
So if you'd had another one, you'd be like, let's just like go to the doctor. They can do whatever they got to do. Okay.
100%. But it's like, again, talking from the female side, my wife is like out the woods now, as in pregnancy, giving birth, recovery, like.
That's a process, yeah.
It's long, bro. Emotions, hormones, all that sort of stuff. So she's come out the other side of it. And now my wife's like training like crazy. She's in incredible shape. She's like.
She doesn't want to sacrifice it all.
And I'm away a lot. 3 kids. Like 3 kids might be tough. But yeah, having 2 girls, I mean, especially with the second, like when the second girl, and I was told, I was like.
What was it? What did you feel inside when you heard the second one? Because after the first one, you're probably like, "What's that? We'll have one boy and one girl."
No,
one boy, one girl.
But I'm again, like my daughters are amazing, and even the first one, I was like, I wanted a boy, but I'm not too. But I was in a different place then. I was like, that's okay. And then the second one, I was like, it hurt. It was a girl, but it's fine. Yeah. And like now, I have 2 girls. The difference between boys and girls as a man is you think it's like going to be harder to raise them, right? Like you think I don't know what to do with girls. I don't know what to do, but.
Did you grow up with brothers or sisters?
I've got 2 brothers.
Okay.
So the thing about my family, like...
Well, I have 1 brother also. I never had any sisters.
Yeah, okay. So that probably means you'll have girls. No, I'm joking.
Fuck.
I had 2 brothers. So there was 3 boys growing up. And then my mum's sister had 2 girls. And then they all had kids. And it's like, we all have one gender or the other. Like one of her daughters had 2 boys. One of her daughters had 3 girls. And I've had 2 girls. So there's no mixes in our family, which is strange. But I think... Like women, the thing that you always get told is like, yeah, but when boys get to 20, they leave, and a daughter's forever. Like a daughter will love daddy forever.
Well, so, men can, I guess, develop, at least me thinking as a soon-to-be father is like, my sons could develop to the point they're self-sufficient. They can always defend themselves. Like if I have a daughter, there's always going to be some part of me that's like she could be taken advantage of by someone or something like that.
And that's when you start thinking like, how am I going to who is more important as a role model to my daughters? Is it me or is it your wife? And you start thinking it's your wife, but it's the complete opposite. So now, like, the man that I am is going to depict the man that my daughters end up being with. That's how I look at it. Like, I'm their first love. They're going to love me, and then they're going to compare every man that they ever meet to me.
Well, they say daughters marry their husband. I mean, their husband. Daughters marry their father.
100%.
Right. So if you're a shithead, you're setting your daughters up to marry a shithead.
Yeah. And that's that. So I think that's the thought I get from it. Having girls is like, I have to be the best man possible because I want them to end up with good people. So it's like, it makes me elevate as well. Like, makes me be a better man because
for them,
for them. And I'm talking again about the masculine frame and about being the winner and about doing the work.
Yes.
It's like that. So I hope my daughters marry a guy who is out there winning. I don't want my daughters to marry a guy who's going to be around all the time and going to be I want them to marry a winner. So it's like, I need to be a winner because they're going to compare them to me. And Tristan said something about this, and I want the clip. If anyone can find it, send it to me. He says something about like, I'm going to give my daughters everything. So the guy that replaces me, I'm going to make my daughters know that, listen, if you're with this guy and you give yourself to him and all that sort of stuff, he's got to replace me, and I'm shining it off the tap. Like, you know, like everything you've got, all the handbags, the dresses, like the lifestyle, whatever, that comes from me.
Yes.
Now it's got to come from him. Whoever that guy is that you choose, it's got to come from him.
Yes.
So he needs to be able to provide that for you. So that at least then you know that your daughter's going to be with a certain quality of man, if you want to put it that way, right? So it's like, that really hit, because I got two daughters.
I like this. I
was
this.
Like,
it helps you find meaning in, because with the son, you're like, I'm going to raise him to be the next best version of me, me version 2.0. With daughters, at least this gives me now, hearing it from you, like some mental framework. It gives you a purpose with the child.
Yeah, and it's like, obviously you want to protect all your kids or whatever, but if I had a son, I would be brutal to that kid.
Yeah,
it would be very, very different. This is just all cuddles and love and
so that's the harder part.
Providing and all that sort of stuff. So the disciplining of my daughter, I'm quite strict, but like, I mean, my wife would say I'm very strict, but I'm quite strict, and the disciplining is like, because I want them to become good people, but I think I have more love for my daughters than I would have for my sons. I know it sounds like a stupid thing to say. I would see my sons as like a mission.
Yes.
Whereas my daughters aren't a mission. My daughters are amazing human beings that I'm that I'm gonna protect and look after. So it's actually like
the son. You almost want to push him a little bit to see what he's made out of.
No, I'm gonna have to create him. Like he's gonna have to be like if he's gonna.
Well, does it kill you makes you stronger?
Yeah. But with my daughters, I don't want them to have any trouble, you know. Yeah. So it's a very different mentality. Yeah. So I think I'm still. I don't have the answer. I don't know the answer. I'm still working out my mind. And one of the things that I actually asked recently was about the Disney influence. Like Disney to me is the devil. Right?
Yes.
I hate Disney. Can't stand it.
The last few years, it seems to be
it's getting worse.
Pushing
and worse
a certain ideology agenda. Yes.
But the ideology, I think, has always been there. I think it's always been there, and we just have been blind. And now people are opening their eyes and seeing it.
Yeah, I guess I haven't. Man, I don't really want to go watch old Disney movies.
I have to watch them all the time. So that's the thing. It's like but my daughter now.
Can you give an example of an older Disney movie?
Beauty and the Beast. I mean, that's a new one now. Maybe, I don't know. Pocahontas. I know all of them.
It's still a girl being like the prize and the man.
Yeah, that's every Disney plan. Every Disney movie is the girl's the prize. Yeah. The man has to go through challenges to find the girl, get the girl, kiss the girl, marry the girl, fall in love.
Without the girl, he's a loser. With the girl, he's the winner.
Which is again, I think a Disney movie. This is interesting. I think a Disney movie, like the archetypes of it for a woman, are actually right. Right?
Yeah. So you want your girl to find her Princess Shining Armor or whatever. Yeah.
Cool. Like that. But as a man, it's like that doesn't validate you having the girl. That's the problem.
Doesn't incentivize your life properly. It sets you up for heartbreak without like a productive end to it.
Yeah. So with the girl, it's like I want my daughter to be a princess. So it's like. She's obsessed. I have no idea how, with me being her father, she is obsessed with princesses. Obsessed. Obsessed. Like, and pink. Obsessed. I don't know how that was possible. But I think it's just like DNA or something. I don't know. So I was talking to this about with a friend of mine who he homeschools his kids, and he's very, very like, and he was like, I was like, but I don't know if I want him to be into Disney, and I don't know if that's how they want. And he said, enthusiasm from your children in whatever it is good. You just need to repurpose that enthusiasm and direct it into something that you have a belief system in. So, for example, Frozen. You know the movie Frozen?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. Disney, yeah?
I've seen it 5,000 times.
I guess that'll be me in a couple of years.
Yeah. So there's a princess in Frozen called Elsa. So you have Elsa and you have Anna, right? And Elsa, it gets these magical powers, and Anna is like the younger sister who she pushes away and all that sort of stuff. Whatever. Story's not important. So my daughter loves Elsa. Loves her. I think she's the most amazing thing in the world. Wants to wear Elsa blue dresses and whatever. And in my mind, before this bit of wisdom I got, I was like scared and worried. Like, why is she into this? And I would be like almost negative about Frozen. I wouldn't want to watch it. And I'd be like, oh, no. Yeah. Like I'd say to my wife, like, we need to get her into some other things because and my friend was like, listen, repurpose the enthusiasm for Elsa and make that something that you have a belief system in. So rather than saying, just say to your daughter, why do you like Elsa? Oh, because she's so pretty and she's got a blue dress. And you'd be like, okay, well, I like Elsa because she stands by her morals and she's a good person, for example. And you like guide her down the...
And she's like, oh, that's something else that's cool about Elsa that I should try and do.
Yeah. So then you try and like... So her hero, which at the moment, as a 4-year-old child, is Elsa. So you don't reject that hero and make her feel shitty about liking this person. So because she she likes it. So
Yeah,
you know, I can't be like, oh, don't watch that, it's crap, which I think it's crap.
But she's
whatever.
gonna like it secretly now.
Yeah.
And then not like you or something.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just gonna ruin your relationship. So rather than that, like repurpose that love into something that has, like, he's going to give her meaning or give her something strong that you believe in. So I'd be like, yeah, I like that she's got a strong character.
Yeah.
Like, and she'd be like, yeah, I've got a strong character.
You're like, that's great. You have a strong character.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
you're like putting the information into her that you want her to have,
Yes.
but you're utilizing the thing that she loves. So that's like how I've repurposed Disney. Because for me, Disney's the devil, but she loves Disney. You know, how are you going to take Disney away from kids?
You can't.
It's so hard, you know?
You can't.
Unless you like, they never go outside, and so I think, again, we talk about reframing things like problems, turning problems into solutions, or saying like heartbreak is the perfect motivator to become the best man. Like that's reframing.
Exactly.
So now I'm just reframing this problem.
Things that
with
she's enthusiastic about and she wants to do anyway.
Yeah, so
it's like, we'll do
reframing
them,
enthusiasm.
but give it a little different meaning.
Give it meaning.
Yes.
Because at the moment there's no meaning behind it. There's just the girly.
Oh, it's a beautiful dress.
Okay. So you're just going to grow up and be a woman that cares about looking pretty. Which, again, like, I don't want my daughter to be just self-obsessed and care about looking pretty. So I want her to have meaning and depth and all these things.
Yeah, you see how Elsa helps these people who needed the help, and she's very, honorable. Yeah.
So you have that conversation with her, and you have to reinforce, and that's what I've been. Again, I'm not here to give parenting advice. I thought we were going to talk about chicks, but like from
this
my
podcast
point
was
of
selfishly
view,
for myself.
Yeah, which is great. But
No, but I think it's not talked about enough either. That I think that there's guys are spoon-fed dating advice after dating advice after dating advice. I contribute to that, but I think it's good for guys also to be aware of different perspectives, and like, if this is the end goal, have a better idea of what's about. Have a better idea to be prepared for it.
And that's one of the, again, red pill community, and Tate might be responsible for a lot of this as well, is like 10 women, 10 sons, I want to do whatever. That's like a phrase I've seen flown around.
Yes.
I was like, have one. See how fucking hard it is to raise a child and to raise it to the standard that you believe in. Like and to do, like I'm saying, you're going to have this conversation about Disney movies with 10 different people. It's a lot of work. You know,
well, I talked about this with Justin, with Jay Waller, and then I think it came up with Sterling. It came up with several different people who maybe they want to have different or multiple children with multiple women. And my mindset's always been, I don't see the upside other than maybe it's like an ego boost. Like, I have a bunch of kids, but like, to me, it doesn't seem practical because I still want to live my life and really make sure I'm giving the kids the best life possible. So I haven't, and that doesn't mean like people should do whatever they want to do. And obviously, if you're like a strong man, you're a good leader, you might be able to give them a better life than if they had some shithead dad. But there hasn't been appeal for me for that.
I think if you're a certain, again, use Tate as an example. If you're a certain level of man, financially and everything else, and you have the bandwidth for it, like financially, I don't see it as a huge problem. Like,
but financial bandwidth is one thing, and then human bandwidth is another thing.
So that's what I'm saying, the human bandwidth. But if you can provide on that level, like I just said about my wife, we've got 2 kids. To have 3 kids, I think for her would be like too much.
Yes.
Like for her life.
Yes.
Maybe 3 would be okay.
That'd be the max, though.
Yeah, that's the max.
Yeah.
So if I want to have 10 kids, I can't have them with one woman. So again, it comes down to how many kids you want to have. But like I said, have one with one woman first and see how you feel.
Yeah.
So I think Sterling, I know Sterling extremely well. I know what he's the ideal.
The sister wives is his.
Yeah, what he wants. Yeah. Great. But he's got no kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Sterling. Sterling's an amazing, amazing human being and great guy. And he's, you know, but have a child first, see how you feel, how much attachment you have to that person, and how.
And then reassess.
And maybe, maybe you're going to do that. Maybe you're going to have 2 wives that live together and you're going to have different kids. Cool. Good luck with that. Yeah. But I think for most of the population, the people that are listening to this, is like you're mainly looking for one woman that you want to fall in love with. And I think a lot of the red pillars, they like a lot of the female stuff they talk about comes from an angry place, from heartbreak or something like that. And they get their heart broken, and then they start to like have like anger towards women, and you, like, I know we'll all talk about Fresh and Fit and Myra and all that sort of stuff, and him shouting at these women. And I think the lessons that he teaches are super valuable and unbelievably, undeniably true.
Yes.
But his delivery obviously is to make content and get viewership and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, I had them on the show and I talked about them. I was like, I think that's like the only negative aspect of your thing is there's some guys who take this message, how it's delivered, and internalize it in a non-productive way.
Yeah.
And maybe at first they do that and then they course correct. That's his that'd be his defense to it. Was like, well, yeah, but they're so far this way that you want them to go through red pill race, because then they'll come to a centered place afterwards.
Yeah,
and that could be true as well.
And I agree. And again, that's not his responsibility. He doesn't have to worry. Like, this is the thing. Like, if you're making content, it's like you can't worry about the guy all the way over here or the guy all the way over here.
You got to worry about the 80% in the middle.
Yeah, that you're trying to provide content for. And so I get that. There's nuance.
Yeah.
There's nuance to everything. So I think for the average guy watching this, I think the average person in the world wants to meet a woman, wants to fall in love. Getting married, again, I think that's a decision. I decided to get married. You decided to get married. I don't think it's necessary. I think it is 100% for the woman. Like, it's on the woman's side in society now. Like, if you start talking about laws and all that sort of stuff, but no one thinks about that when they get married. You know what I mean? No one thinks about that side of it. Yeah. But I think there's a negative as a man, especially a successful man, to be married. But there's a lot of positives that come with it. So it depends how you...
Which life you want.
Which life you want. So I think if I could relive and I was in 2023 and I was now and I was single and all the rest of it, I don't think I would get married. I think I would have a lifelong partner and I would do that. And I there's no need, the only reason you get married is to have the wedding and the wife. And you do it for family. There's so many reasons to do it. Unless I wanted to get married in front of God and I was a religious person and I believed in that, which I don't. Yes. My mother is super religious. So like for her, maybe, but me, no. I don't need that. I don't want to get married. I don't need a contract to tell me that I love this woman, you know? But 10 years ago, it was the world was completely different for me, I believe. So I'm not saying don't get married. I'm saying that is a decision that people will make. It shouldn't be the like...
just pressured into doing
it. No, you should do it. If you want to do it, do it. You shouldn't be pressured either way. It should be your decision. Yes. So it's like, if you want to get married, get married. If someone says don't get married, it's fucking stupid, don't listen to them. You know?
Yeah, of course. Make your own decision based on your own life experience and your own personal preferences.
But any long-term relationship of, I mean, you're 33, hopefully you're going to live to 100 years old. So, you're a fit guy, 120 maybe, like...
Who knows?
Yeah, now with medicine and everything, it's like 80 years.
I saw a quote that they said the first, like, man who's going to live to 300 years old is already alive. I mean, obviously, that could just be some bullshit quote, but it's like a funny thing to consider. Yeah,
okay, so let's say 200. So you're going to live to your 200. So that means you're going to be with this woman for 167 years. It's like...
That's a big decision.
That's a big decision, bro. So, it's like, again... you say forever, the idea is for it to be together. And if it's not forever, it's not forever. I'm not saying it won't be. Like, I hope I'm with my wife forever. I would never leave my wife. I love her entirely. So it's like, but we'll see what happens with life. You never know. And so I'm
it's
saying
like anything. You always have to be able to accept that you start a business. You got to accept it could go bankrupt. You could go broke. You date a woman. You got to accept some shit could happen. Yeah. You marry a woman. Some shit could happen. I don't plan for it to. I don't see any reason that it would. Otherwise, I wouldn't got married. But
So but then I think what happens is the guys that doesn't go well for, they're who get divorced and they're in their 60s. They go, "Why you get married, bro?" Like, and then that's where that whole disdain comes from. It's like, okay, but there's plenty.
It comes from people with failed marriages.
Yeah.
And they love people with failed marriages. Love to tell people not to get married. And that's okay. That's their life experience. And a lot of people maybe shouldn't get married, but it's definitely funny. It's funny.
So I think the answer is do what you want to do, but it's like, I think there's nothing wrong with getting married. I think there's nothing good about getting married anymore. I think before it was different, but I think now it's neutral. Like, up to you. If you want to get married, get married. I'm not saying don't get married. I'm just saying, like, really, really think about it before you do it. So that, again, longevity of a relationship, if you're going to be with a woman for 170 years, that's what your focus should be on, rather than if you get married or you don't. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think the priority needs to be, well, this would be my advice, and I'm not even, haven't had my first kid yet, but I think if you're going to get married, then it should be a priority for you that, like, I want to have a strong family unit and raise like a family with this woman. Like, that should be the motivation in my eyes.
And the world right now, like where we're sitting at the moment with the financial system and everything that's going on, like, the world, the next 50 years is going to be insane. AI, crypto, what's going on with the central banking system, like inflation, like houses. Who knows what's going to happen?
Even in 5 years, who knows what the world's going to look like?
But I'm saying, so if you're going to marry a woman, you're like 50 years is going to be, for me, I don't think I'll live past 80 because I've lived pretty hard, like fighting and everything that I've done. So like I'm 35, maybe I've got like 45 years left. Okay. Pessimistic, I know, but whatever.
Pessimistic,
but 45 good, solid years. Yeah. So I've got 45 years with my wife. In those 45 years, the world is literally going to get turned upside down and shaken. That's what's going to happen to it. So my marriage needs to survive that, and I need to survive that. Mm-hmm. That's what we should be focusing on, rather than thinking about like, should I get married or should I not get married? It's like, bro, like life's tough. Life's getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. So it doesn't matter if you're married or you're single, you should be focusing on winning. That's my opinion. And rather than focusing on making your marriage be happy, thinking about you being happy, then your wife will be happy, then your kids will be happy on like automatic, like a byproduct of your own happiness. I think that's, like you said, people focus in on the thing and they don't think about the big picture. The big picture is, and this again, I think why my marriage is good, is I care about myself. I know it sounds like people say, "Oh, you're selfish." Yeah, I'm selfish because I want to be happy, and if I'm not happy, she's not going to be happy. So I think that's the number one thing is like,
especially if the relationship starts from this place of you leading the way with the masculine frame, and she's buying into your mission and supporting your mission. Yeah. So
if she's again, I don't mean it as the red pill. I think she's like in a supportive role to me. I'm the leader; she supports me, but that's what she wants to do. Doesn't mean she doesn't have great experiences on her own. She doesn't do things. She doesn't do what she wants to do and live a life that she wants to live. Doesn't mean she just sits at home all day. She does whatever she wants, but is like,
it's like the bedrock still of the relationship.
That's the bedrock of the relationship. Is I'm the leader, she's the follower, and that needs to continue for my daughters to see that and then to emulate that and to be like, oh, okay. And they talk about, one of the things is like, we fight all the time, but when you fight and you have resolution and you come together and
the kids learn from that too.
They make from that as well. You can't like. Everyone fights, you know what I mean? Everyone has problems. You have problems with your mates. You have problems with everyone. You have problems with your family. So the problems is a part of life. You can't try and avoid it and be like, oh, no, we're happy and pretend, because people see through all that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think just being real, focusing on who you want to become and having it comes back to having a goal. Like, and that's the problem for most guys that don't know what they want to do with their life. Yeah. They want to know what you want to do with your life. Oh, I want to meet a nice girl. It's like, well, maybe figure out your own life first. And then she'll just come along. Like, that's how, again, mine was automatic because my focus was the UFC. Obviously, you still want girls. You still want like that female attention. But that's part of like your chemistry, your biochemistry. So it's like, but if you focus and put your energy into becoming like greatness in some field or whatever it's going to be, from fighting in the UFC to podcasting to having the guy who owns, you won't know Sainsbury's. I'm going to say Sainsbury's. Big supermarkets, Walmart. The guy who runs Walmart. Okay. He had to be the guy to become an own Walmart. Okay, he might be a loser and a dork. I don't know. But he is now a guy who's worth all that money. And then he can worry about his relationships. I think people, they don't build the foundation to being a great man before they look at the female side of things. That's when you get your heart broken, because the girl's like, this guy's a loser. Why am I with this guy? They break up with you, which is what happened to me. And then you have to become a winner to then have a women from a byproduct. That's
women. There's not going to be some level of buy-in unless you're winning. That's when like this hypergamy mindset comes into play. If you're a loser and the woman doesn't have no reason to stay with you, well then you kind of are going to be naturally worried, when's she going to leave me for the next guy, because
you're a loser.
Yeah, and there's logic there why she would leave you for the next guy, right? You're just kind of filling the time, so she's not lonely at that point.
So that's I think obviously everyone wants female attention. Again, if you're like 16 and you're watching this or whatever, it's like you're not going to, it takes time. Becoming a man takes time, and obviously you're going to fill the void and do whatever, but it's like focusing on finding a woman, I think, is a complete waste of time. I think if you focus on becoming the best man you can possibly be, women will just come. That's what happened to me with my wife. I didn't focus, plenty of fish, found this new app, it looked like fun, played on it, found my wife. I wasn't searching for her. I wasn't like building a list of the perfect woman. And I just went out, lived my life, and tried to become the perfect man. And then she came along, you know what I mean? And I think that's the message that's missing in a lot of this red pill stuff, is like, it makes it sound like, okay, red flags, selecting, dating, all this stuff. And I'm like, it just sounds like a lot of time, like a lot of wasted energy. Well, why don't you just focus that in on your business, or focus that in your life, or your 9 to 5, or like most people are miserable because they're working 9 to 5. Why don't you show up at 8 o'clock, go home at 7 o'clock, and don't worry about dating for a year? You'll get promoted and you'll be the top guy, and then the women will just come. You know, like, it sounds boring, but that's the truth. You know what I mean? And I know it's getting harder and harder and harder in this world with Instagram and people showing off and money and all this sort of stuff. And I heard like the top % of men getting all the women or something like that on these dating stuff. So you got to become the top % of men. That's the answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no faking it.
It's like simple, you know. But anyway, like my skewed opinion on dating and marriage, and like, I didn't expect the podcast to be about my, well, I knew it'd be about me, but I thought about talk about fighting, you know.
We're gonna have to do another one, because this one went real deep on your marriage and that side of the relationship. But I think it's really interesting.
That's what we'll do. I'll interview you next time.
Okay.
Come to the studio. I'll interview you, and then I
Perfect.
can lead, and then that way we'll stay away from the kids and the wife and that sort of stuff. Maybe that we'll touch on that, but we could talk about you. And again, I'm not being ignorant. I don't know much about you. I don't know much about the content you make. So I'd love to like talk to you about it.
Yeah, it makes
know you.
But it makes the conversation a bit more organic.
Yeah,
So there's
sure.
upside, downside, everything.
Yeah,
All right,
sweet.
so I always like to do something a little random to finish it off. So we're talking a little about cinema. I know you don't like Disney movies. Tell me, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to say your top 5, but it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to set this in stone. 5 movies you really love, like you really fucking like.
Godfather is probably number 1. Pulp Fiction. I have to figure these off the top of my head. 5. Godfather, Pulp Fiction. I mean, Tate's going to hate me for saying this, but Star Wars is epic. Like, absolutely epic. I don't know if you watched The Mandalorian, but it's amazing. 2 more. I don't know. Troy. Have you ever seen Troy?
Yeah, it's a long one. Is that, is Brad Pitt?
Brad
No.
Pitt.
Yeah,
Brad Pitt plays Achilles in that.
Yeah.
I like hugely into Greek mythology, and Troy sticks out to me. And
You probably like Gladiator as well, right?
yeah, I like Gladiator, but I'd probably say 300 above Gladiator. Like,
So 300, Troy,
300,
Pulp Fiction,
Troy, Pulp Fiction, Godfather,
Star Wars.
Yeah, because the whole dark versus the like light, the good side, the bad side. I think that whole story. I think that is like the empathesis. That's probably the wrong word. Like for every sort of antagonist for every movie since then. You know what I mean? Like they always like the dark side versus the good side. I think it's like I like in Star Wars that you have like the student becomes the master, that whole thing in life. Again, it comes down to martial arts, but yeah, that'd be my top 5.
That's a good top 5.
It's different.
All right, I'll link below your Instagram. Anything else you want to kind of like shout out before we sign off?
All good. Follow me on Instagram's my thing. I run like now from fighting and what I do now. I'm like a mentality coach for people to build confidence and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, females is part of it, but it's more about business and making decisions that can help you. So it's cool. I have a product called Clarity of Purpose, which help people like zone in on what they want to do with their life, because I think that's the biggest thing that men miss in their life is having like a North Star, like a guiding star of what they want to become. I think most people focus on like the accolade side of life. So they focus on, I want to get a Lambo, I want to make $100,000 a month, I want to do whatever. It's like the achievement side, but I don't think they focus more on like the other side of the journey, which is more like the validation side, like internally. I talk about it as if you have external validation and you have internal validation. Your external validation is when you buy a Rolex, you have a Lambo, you got a mansion or the house, the dream home or whatever. That's like external validation for you in your life. Internally validating yourself is like achievements that you've made within you and become a better man. So like building yourself up as a man and becoming the man that is capable of buying a Lambo, buying a Rolex, doing all that sort of stuff. So building your internal monologue and your self-confidence is kind of what I focus on in Clarity of Purpose. Again, it will be on my Instagram and all that sort of stuff. But that's kind of where the only place I am at the moment. I will start YouTube. I will start TikTok. I will start all that bullshit at some point. I'm just getting warmed up.
For now, Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, Luke, thank you, bro. And another good business handshake. I appreciate you coming through.
Nice one, bro.